All right, folks, it's Bass Action, back in action here. In this video, we're going to look at some geometry that we know from the past and look at how we're going to apply that to the future. You can think of this as the foundations of the unit circle. This is where all of the values from the unit circle are going to come from, and then in the next video, we're going to put it together and actually build the unit circle itself. So what I want you to notice on this page is that I've got a variety of circles here. I've got these really, really big circles here. I've got a really big circle here, and then I've got one that's a little bit smaller below that, and then I'm back to that really big circle. And then over here on the right-hand side, I've got these much, much smaller circles going on here. Now, these circles have all actually been drawn to scale. So what I want you to notice is that this length right here is actually going to be the same as this length and this length and this length. So as we work through, what we're going to find is that everything that gets labeled as a 1 is actually the same size on this page. So the unit circle is in fact exactly that. It is a 1 unit circle. So we are trying to create a circle that has a radius of 1 unit long. This circle over here is clearly larger, and its radius is not the same size as, let's say, the one below it. So what we're trying to do is take some circles that we already could easily create and convert them all so that they all have the exact same size radius of 1 unit. So let's look and see where those numbers are going to come from. In this first circle here, we're going to have this little angle here, and this angle is going to be called a reference angle. Now, we're also going to work in radians, but for today, in this video, I'm just going to look at the values in terms of degrees. So if I have 30 degrees, what we know from our geometry days is that the side across from the 30-degree angle would be 1. We would call that a 1. The long leg across from the 60-degree angle would be a radical 3. We're just working with that 1 radical 3 2 extended ratio that we've already learned, and then the hypotenuse would be a 2. Now, that means that this circle has a radius of 2 units, but we want a radius of only 1 unit, so we need to shrink this circle down. So what we're going to do is we're going to take every value here, and we're going to divide each side of them by a 2. So that's going to take our 2 divided by 2, and is going to give us that nice radius of 1 unit. But that's going to make the other sides in this triangle a radical 3 over a 2, and then a 1/2. What that's going to become in our unit circle is this nice ordered pair here over a square root of 3 over 2 up a 1/2. This ordered pair is going to become a key ordered pair in our unit circle. Now, the other thing that we want to remember is labeling our angles in terms of radians. So this is in degrees, but we need to remember that a 30 degrees on the unit circle, or in radians, is actually a pi over 6. Okay. Now, we've been working with labeling things, these ends, so we know that this is pi and this is 2 pi. We've already practiced this. That makes this actually 6 pi over 6. That's going to be useful for us. And it makes this side over here 12 pi over 6. Now, since each of these little angles here are also 30 degrees or pi over 6, if this is 6 pi over 6, this is going to be 1 pi over 6 less than 6 pi over 6 or 5 pi over 6. This is also a key number from our unit circle. This point right here is going to be 1 pi over 6 more than 6 pi over 6, or 7 pi over 6. And our last one is going to be 1 pi over 6 less than the full rotation, or 11 pi over 6. So what I want you to really be thinking about is not memorizing these numbers around. I want you to know 30 degrees is pi over 6, and then these 3 spots are 1 less, 1 more, and 1 less, so that you can always easily calculate it. If you know this is 1 pi over 6, 6 pi over 6, and then 1 less, 1 more, and 1 less. Now, let's take a look at our next circle. Our next circle is our 45, 45, 90 triangle, and that means that the extended ratio that we're going to be working with is our 1, 1, radical 2, which makes the legs each 1 and the radius or the hypotenuse a radical 2. And as we can see, our radius is much too big. It's radical 2, which is about 1.4, and we need it to be a 1. So this time we're going to divide, shrink it down, by a radical 2. That's going to create this 1 over radical 2 that has to be rationalized. Now, it's not that this number isn't useful for us ever, but in terms of writing our nice answers, we want to label these sides as a radical 2 over radical 2, radical 2 over radical 2, and of course the hypotenuse becomes a 1. So this ordered pair we're going to see on our unit circle will be written radical 2 over 2, comma, radical 2 over 2. And I just realized in my rush there that I didn't mean to write these radicals right here. These are supposed to be nice 2's. Not because we've rationalized those, so those shouldn't any longer have any radicals there. I'm sorry if that confused somebody there. So yes, when we rationalize, we get a nice radical 2 over 2. So that's those sides, and then you can see I wrote that in that ordered pair there. Okay, now let's go back to the idea also of our radians. So we've got 45 degrees, 45 degrees. We need to all understand that 45 degrees in radians is pi over 4. You need to know that basic number. That means that our pi and our 2 pi, if we write these as common denominators, become 4 pi over 4 and 8 pi over 4. And now we're going to go back to that idea of the 1 less, 1 more, and 1 less, because all of these angles are 45 degrees. All of these angles are pi over 4. So if this is our half, we're going to go 1 pi over 4 less, 1 pi over 4 more. This will become 3 pi over 4. This will become 5 pi over 4. And then our last one is 1 less than the full, and it's 7 pi over 4. Do not take time to memorize these around. Think. Pi over 4. We know our half and our full. 1 less, 1 more, 1 less. Last one we're going to look at. This one's going to go pretty fast because we've seen these numbers before. It's our 30, 60, 90 triangle all over again. But this time it's been twisted around, so we're still going to have that 1 radical 3 and our 2. We're going to put our 2 here, our 1 here, and our radical 3 here, thinking across from the short, across from the long. Again, we're going to divide by a 2. That's going to give us our nice 1 unit. Then we're going to get a 1/2, a radical 3 over 2. We're going to create our new ordered pair. Again, in the next video, we'll put this all into one big picture. There's our radical 3 over 2. Now let's go back to our radians. Pi over 60 degrees is going to be pi over 3 radians. So this angle here is going to become pi over 3. Label our halves, 3 pi over 3, 6 pi over 3. All these angles are the same, so now we're going to go 1 less, 1 more, and 1 less than the full. So 1 pi over 3 less becomes 2 pi over 3. 1 pi over 3 more becomes 4 pi over 3. And 1 pi over 3 less becomes 5 pi over 3. I'm going to say it again. Do not try to just memorize this all the way around. It'll get really hard. Just think, you know pi over 3, you know the ends, 1 less, 1 more, and 1 less. Okay, in the next video, we're going to actually build it all together, create that unit circle, and see how this can actually be useful for us in the world of trigonometry.